Sylvester Stallone is a Samaritan, or is he? Okay, movie review time with some spoilers. I'll give you a quick spoiler up the front. Sylvester Stallone is not the Samaritan character. There's the spoiler. There's a really big spoiler. Now you're going to have to watch the movie to find out who he really is. Okay, so first things first, let's have a look at his clothing. Black t-shirt, then a lumberjack type pattern flannelette jacket thing on top of that, then another black jacket, then another puffy shirt. And my first thought was, why is he wearing so much clothing? It can't be that cold because it's never done up. It's open to the air. So it's there to bulk him up, make him look bulky. But with so much clothing on, it also hides a lot of lumps and bumps and hides the fact that he doesn't have the six-pack that we knew him used to have decades ago. But if he was the only one that wore the puffy stuff, that would look pretty odd. So the kid wears a little puffy jacket as well that looks over puffiness for him. It definitely doesn't look cold. You never have the impression anybody's cold. You just have the impression they're wearing these jackets. Okay. One little sort of plot hole I found in the movie is the kid is obsessed with this Samaritan character who died some 20 years earlier. Now, if we assume the kid is like, I don't know, 13 maybe, something like that, 13-year-old kid, doesn't look very old. By the time he would maybe have an idea of who the Samaritan is, we're talking maybe he was, I don't know, 5 or 6. Even if you said he was 15 and he started having an inkling of the Samaritan when he was 5, which was 10 years ago, well, it meant that the Samaritan had disappeared from everything 10 years earlier. Before the child was born, the Samaritan had disappeared. There'd be no reason for the child to even know about the Samaritan. There's a lot of kids now that haven't heard of bands in the 80s because those kids were born in the 90s, and unless their parents were playing the bands, the kids haven't even heard of those bands, never heard of that band, never heard of this, never heard of that. That's just how it is. So I found that as like a little bit of a thing. Not only did this kid hear about this town's superhero after the superhero had disappeared for 20 years, he was also a fan and on the hunt. Reckons he never died, even though the official story was Samaritan and Nemesis, his brother, had actually died. But the kid says, no, that's not what happened. Somehow I know better, and Samaritan is actually alive somewhere, and I reckon I'm going to find him. So that was the. I thought that was a little bit of a plot hole. Breaking into people's apartments, that old trope in these movies where neighbours can just walk in on each other just willy-nilly because, they just can. I kind of had a little bit of a chuckle at that. No real sort of agendas being pushed. If you want to look for an agenda, yeah, there are certain aspects of the movie. The bad guy in the hood's a white guy. The struggling Hispanic mother doing everything she can for her child. Those kinds of little things. Obviously, Sylvester Stallone has to be the hero of the movie. He's not going to portray himself as a dark guy, as a dark villain all the time. And then in as much as elements of movies to get messages to the audience, yeah, there's a couple of messages, and they're kind of in your face messages where it's all delivered by dialogue. There's nothing hidden about it. It's the passing of wisdom from the old wise character, which in this case is Stallone's character, to the young child, passing on a piece of wisdom through a bit of verbal advice. Things like, if the Samaritan is around, why can't he just take out all the bad guys? And the answer is, if it was that simple, then you could just take out all the bad guys. The problem is there's good and bad in everybody. And then everybody is potentially good and everybody is potentially bad. And whether you're good or whether you're bad depends on the choice you make. You choose to be good or you choose to be bad. So I thought that was a nice little piece of wisdom that was imparted to the young fellow. And there's some others along the lines in the movie as well. Entertainment value, yeah, It's entertaining enough, and that's all it needs to be. It's certainly not a cinema movie. It's one of those, if it's in a package that I'm already subscribed to or something and it's on, give it a watch. Definitely wouldn't buy it as a movie, wouldn't buy it on Blu-ray or DVD or anything like that. But if it comes along as something else in some other online streaming package that you've belonged to and it's available to watch, hey, yeah, do the old one too. Give it a watch. It's a nice, light-hearted, mindless violence, light-hearted, mindless violence kind of way to spend an hour and a half. And that's what I think of the movie. Let me know what you think in the comments below.